An absolute earthquake has just been issued by the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and it has a positive impact for XRP as well as the rest of the cryptocurrency market. A considerable amount of time has passed since we last witnessed price activity on a magnitude comparable to this one, approximately 3 to 4 months. That Bitcoin has ever reached fresh all-time highs is of course something that has never occurred. It would appear that there is a great deal going on here. In addition, I would like to make something extremely obvious to either of you. I am of the opinion that it is quite probable that during the next week we are going to witness a great deal more bizarre occurrences than we have seen so far. Alright, and this is based on a significant portion of what was only recently made public fresh from the press. Moreover, I would want to begin with this piece of news right now immediately. It's possible that some of you have seen this while some of you might not have. As a commitment to you guys, I will provide you with some further background on it, which is very much required. It has been claimed that Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, is contemplating quitting. At this point, I would like to make this extremely obvious. When Jerome Powell steps down from his position as chairman of the Federal Reserve, if this is truly accurate news, which I will get into in further detail very shortly, it is going to have enormous impacts on the market. To begin, according to many people, Jerome Powell has not been cutting interest rates as much as he ought to have been. This is because Donald Trump is, if you must guess, possibly the president who has the most hatred for him. It has been said by a significant number of other members of the Federal Reserve that he has not been reducing interest rates as much as he ought to have been. And now, in the midst of all of this, what is taking place? He is stating that he is considering the possibility of simply resigning and throwing in the towel and saying, okay, someone else can lead the economy here and take control of rates, because to tell you the truth, I'm not doing it anymore. We are already aware that Trump will choose a successor who will virtually certainly bring about a reduction in interest rates. President Trump has stated, in a very literal sense, that interest rates ought to be at 1% right now, which is to say that they should be more than 3% lower than they are right now. In the event that you are unaware of how significant it is and how insane it would be for the markets if that were to occur, what are you waiting for? Now let me tell you something, okay? The reduction of interest rates by 3% results in the injection of trillions of dollars worth of liquidity into the markets. This is exactly what occurs when interest rates are lowered, the money printer is activated, and liquidity is introduced. In general, based on historical precedents, there is a lag of 12 weeks before we see that price rise in Bitcoin, which is equivalent to 3 months. In the event that this does really play out in the manner that many people believe it might, Jerome Powell will quit this month, and a new head of the Federal Reserve will be installed at some point during this 1 month. In August, we will most likely see a reduction in interest rates, and the magnitude of the reduction will be determined by the amount of the reduction, which may be 1 basis point or 2 basis points. There is a possibility that I am not even aware of 3 that would be completely ridiculous. That has never occurred in the course of human history, but if it does take place, it is going to be a complete and utter disaster. It's going to be the most insane thing we've ever seen, and I really believe that based on a lot of what's going on at the Federal Reserve right now. Okay, so it's going to be everything we've ever seen. Whether or not this optimism is going to be short-lived, whether or not we are going to see a major correction, and whether or not the markets are starting to get thrilled, is something that has not yet been determined. And here is one black swan that I believe a lot of people are not keeping an eye out for right now, which I do believe demands your guys' attention, and at the absolute least, I believe that we should all be prepared for it. What happens if Jerome Powell does not agree to retire, and this report is accurate? It's nothing but filler. Therefore, all of this excitement that we are witnessing at this very moment, it is possible that it will lead to a massive collapse, and people are extremely excited by the possibility that Jerome Powell will go if he does not. Well, black swan, right? I want to get a little more into what's going on here because, to tell you the truth, nothing is 100% proven yet, but there are some pretty fascinating developments. Perhaps we just generated a black swan event here, which is something that is absolutely something that should be considered. In order for us to see as a source Bill Polt, the director of the United States Federal Housing Finance Agency, has just published an article in which he asserts that Powell is contemplating retiring, although the piece's origin is Bill Polt himself. Another way of putting it is that Bill Polt is now sourcing an article that he himself sources. This is something that he is putting on social media. Pretty fascinating, don't you think? I was completely unaware that Bill Polt would be allowed to really post this. I had the impression that this may be a conflict of interest in some way, shape or form. I suppose I'm on the wrong track, or perhaps there is a case that is going to be filed in the near future. No, I have no idea. On the other hand, that being said, here is the tweet that makes it quite plain. He publishes this piece, which, if you know what I mean, also sources him, right? What is going on here is quite unusual, pretty bizarre stuff, but despite everything, it is present. This is taking place. Indeed, that is rather insane. Currently, we are going to wait and see what the outcome of that is. In addition, we are witnessing some fairly bizarre things taking place in the administration of the United States. Most notably, a remarkable budget surplus of $27 billion was reported by the United States government in the month of June. The entire amount of tariffs collected in June was $27 billion, representing a 301% increase over June 2024. Do you agree that this is fairly strange stuff? In point of fact, this is the first time that the United States government has had a monthly surplus since 2005. 20 years have passed. 20 years, ever since the most recent financial crisis, the United States government has not been able to generate a surplus. I'm sorry, but the year 2000 was not the most recent financial catastrophe, but 2008. You guys know what I'm talking about, and I will also say that this also comes close to following the third greatest monthly deficit in the history of the world, which was $316 billion. According to the statistics, there is a surplus, but there is also a deficit, yet it is still a great statistic. In spite of this, it is really encouraging to see that there is some type of advancement being made. In addition to this, the Director of Digital Assets for the United States of America has recently stated that there is a significant week ahead of us, and that it is time to make the United States the crypto capital of the world. Do you think you could have a look at that? An abundance of bullishness may be observed in the cryptocurrency industry. Now, if I notice that everyone is really bullish, I usually like to take a step back, because there is one thing that I've learnt from this book that I have on my desk every single day. I bring it with me at all times. It is a wonderful book that is known as The Wise Investor. Despite the fact that I don't have any kind of sponsorship relationship with them or anything else, I simply adore the book. Daily, I make it a point to read it. That book has a single significant message that completely altered the course of my life. For example, it states to be greedy when other people are afraid, and to be afraid when other people are greedy. That is the fundamental idea, right? To put it another way, would you say that you should purchase when others are selling and sell when others are buying? That is to a large extent what is taking place. Exactly, and what I'm observing is that there is a general feeling of excitement occurring across the markets, and yes, it is feasible that XRP will continue to rise. The price of Bitcoin continues to skyrocket like crazy. Utterly spectacular rocket ships that cost $3 or $4, regardless of the price. But I'm taking everything into consideration, and I'm taking into account the facts. I'm taking